जय श्री राधे। शिवलबाधीश की जय हो। सब वैष्णवों को हार्दिक सप्रेम सादर जय श्री कृष्ण। जय जय श्री राधे. Today is day 46 of our readings, and we continue with Varta 34, the story of Govind Dubey, a Sanchora Brahmin from Kerala. Bhav Prakash. Govind Dubey is related to the Dwarka Leela. He is Satyabhamaji's Sakhi named Tanamadhya. She is very beautiful, for her waist is very slim. Once Sri Thakurji came to Satyabhamaji's place. Tanamadhya approached him and said that she was his maidservant, so could he please visit her sometimes? Sri Thakurji smiled and said that would not be possible in Satyabhamaji's presence. Satyabhamaji heard him from a distance, became angry, and cursed Tanamadhya to fall to earthly plane. She fell from the Leela and passed through endless births. Now she was born into this Sanchora Brahmin family as Govind Dubey, and had now reached the age of 15. Govind Dubey suggested to his parents that they travel to some pilgrimage spot. The parents were surprised and asked him, since he was only 15 and was already considering such activities, whether he was going to become a renunciate. They said that they had no inclination to leave home and travel, for they were quite comfortable and had enough to eat there. In that case I will be a renunciate, he stated, so don't bother about my wedding, etc. You will die here within the home whilst doing housework. But I want to travel to holy places. The parents objected that they were now old, that he should go after their demise, that now he should look after them. You are right, he said, but who knows what will come to pass next, and life is very short. I do not want to waste my time. I will at least go to Dwarka Puriji and have the sight of Sri Ranchoralaji. His parents realised that they would not be able to persuade him otherwise, and told him to do whatever he felt like. Govind Dubey went to Dwarka. He was so very happy to have the sight of Dwarkanachi that he ended up staying there for 3 years. His parents died at home. When he heard this, he was sad that they never got to visit any holy ground. He decided therefore to go to Gaya and perform some last rite ceremonies on their behalf. He did this and then set off for home. On his journey back, he passed through Varanasi. There on the Manikchand Ghat, he was sitting at sunset to perform his prayers. At that time, Sri Acharyaji came there from Purushottam Das's home to bathe. When Govind Dubey caught sight of Sri Acharyaji, he realized he was a most learned being. Govind Dubey decided to ask if he could study with him. When Sri Acharyaji had completed his sunset prayers, Govind Dubey approached him and humbly requested him to teach him something. Sri Acharyaji said, "It is not in your fate to be very knowledgeable. If you try really hard, you will learn the alphabet, and then you will be capable of reading the relevant books." Govind Dubey said, "I understand, O Maharaj, but I will learn as much as I possibly can. Maybe I could even read the Gita Ji or the Srimad Bhagavatam." Sri Acharyaji told him to come to his camp after 3 hours. Govind Dubey went home and fetched a grammar book that a fellow Brahmin had, saying that he would return it when he had finished with it. The Brahmin said he would not be needing it back. Sri Acharyaji meanwhile went to Purushottam Das's home, prepared the foodstuffs and offered them to Sri Thakurji, then partook of the prasad. Govind Dubey had his meal and then at the appointed time went to Sri Acharyaji with the grammar book. He paid his respects and sat down. He took out the grammar book, but Sri Acharyaji said, "How long will you read grammar? I will teach you from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and grammar will automatically be understood by you." Govind Dubey asked him how it was possible to read from the Gita Ji with no knowledge of grammar. He said he thought the usual method was to learn some grammar and understand the letters of the alphabet, and then to read the scriptures. Sri Acharyaji told him to do as he instructed him, "But I don't have a copy of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita," he said. Sri Acharyaji took out his copy, read one verse, and then told Govind Dubey to read the whole of the Gita Ji. Govind Dubey Ji then proceeded to read all 18 chapters of the Gita Ji. Sri Acharyaji then explained the inner meaning of one of the verses and told Govind Dubey to also explain one verse. Sri Acharyaji went on to tell Govind Dubey to explain every single verse of the entire Gita Ji, and this he did. Night fell. Sri Acharyaji said to him, "See, you have perfected the grammatical learning." Govind Dubey went back to the Brahmin who had lent him the grammar book and returned it to him. He recited all the book to that Brahmin. It went on till the middle of the night. Then he took rest. Govind Dubey was now convinced that Sri Acharyaji was the Lord himself, because with the reading of just one verse of the Gita Ji, he had come to understand all grammar, the Gita Ji itself and its explanation. This is impossible for an embodied soul. Now I must become his disciple, he thought. The next morning after bathing, he went to Sri Acharyaji and bowing low to him, begged him to accept him as his disciple by initiating him. Sri Acharyaji said, "You are a Brahmin and so am I. Why do you need to be my disciple?" Govind Dubey replied, "I am an embodied soul, thus incapable of accurately knowing your form. Please tell me. At first I thought you were a learned man. Now I think you are indeed the Lord himself. With one shloka of the Gita-ji you gave me so much knowledge. Please initiate me with your grace. I am just a fool. Please forgive all my offences." Sri Acharyaji then invited him to come with him to the Gangaji river to bathe, and thereafter he would initiate him. Govind Dubey bathed in the Gangaji, and then Sri Acharyaji initiated him with the Lord's name and the Brahma Sambandha. Govind Dubey requested Sri Acharyaji to instruct him as to what to do next, and Sri Acharyaji told him to serve the beloved Lord. Govind Dubey told him that there was a swarupa of Sri Thakurji that had been his father's and which was now at a Brahmin relative's house. "How should I serve him?" he inquired. Sri Acharyaji instructed him to go home and bring the Sri Thakurji there, bathe him in the 5 nectars, and establish his seva. Govind Dubey took leave of Sri Acharyaji and returned home. He fetched the Sri Thakurji from that Brahmin's house, bathed him in the 5 nectars, and began to serve him. However, his heart was not in such seva, and he felt troubled and anxious. Sri Acharyaji had told Govind Dubey to perform the 5 nectar bath for the Swarupa because he was not related to the Vraja Leela. On the contrary, he was linked to Sri Thakurji's kingly Varta Leela, where Govind Dubey had been Satyabhamaji's Sakhi, and this is where his heart's love was centred. That is why Sri Acharyaji went to Adel without bathing the Swarupa himself. One Vaishnav came from Adel to Gujarat, where he stayed with Govind Dubey, who inquired after Sri Acharyaji's well-being. The Vaishnava told him that Sri Acharyaji had gone from Varanasi to Adel and that he would be staying there for a while before setting off on his Holy Grace pilgrimage again. The Vaishnava said, "This is what I have heard and I have told you. What you do now is up to you." Having said this, he left for Dwarka. Part 1. Govind Dubey performed the seva in his home, but he was very troubled. His heart was not in it. He wrote a letter to Sri Acharyaji telling him exactly this, and he asked what he should now do. When Sri Acharyaji received the letter, he composed the Navaratna treatise, the 9 jewels, and sent it to Govind Dubey. He included a letter telling him that his anxiety should now disappear. When Govind Dubey got the letter, he was so happy and began to regularly read the treatise. As he did so, and with the grace of Sri Acharyaji, his anxiety died down, and his heart began to focus on the seva, Bhav Prakash. The reason for Govind Dubey's anxiety was that he was related to the Dwarka Leela and was trying to serve his Thakurji in the mood of the gopis of Vraj. The two were irreconcilable. He didn't have firm faith in either the kingly Leela nor the Vraja Leela. He had thought of all sorts of plans going on: pilgrimage, fasting, chanting mantras, etc. Then Sri Acharyaji wrote and sent the Navaratta treatise, and this dispersed all his worries. Don't worry. Even if your heart is troubled, this is also the Lord's plan. It is also his wish that your mind get distracted elsewhere, so never be anxious. Do as much seva as you can. This advice brought Govind Dubey to a steady place, inasmuch as he was able to see the Lord's wish in everything, even if his mind got waylaid by worldly and scriptural considerations. If his head went towards Ranachorlalji, he also saw this as the beloved's plan, and let his heart immerse itself there. In the scriptures it is stated that there are many ways to meet the Lord. They show the embodied souls that there are many, many ways to meet him, and that the heart will naturally seek out that very way which suits it best, and will find perfection there. On a journey one may be shown many paths to many different villages, but the traveller will find that path which will lead him home. In the same way, whether it is the Vaishnava, the Guru, or the Lord himself, according to one's qualification and suitability, one's heart will become fixed in that very way. Govind Dubey's heart lay with Sri Ranachorlalji. So for today, we conclude, and tomorrow we will complete the story of Govind Dubey, the Sanchora Brahmin from Keralu. आज के आनंद की जय हो सभी वैष्णवन को सादर जय श्री कृष्ण श्री गोवर्धन नाथ जी की जय। जय गिरिराज, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे।